Hey guys, we're going to have a little chat with a fellow stacker who has asked me some questions and agreed to do a video about some questions that newer stackers might have. So, in a second, we're going to be joined by I'm going to call him Reggae, and let's see what's on his mind. I don't mind doing this at all for those of you that are have some specific questions about your strategy. And he reached out to me through the website, and I'm happy to do this. So let's go ahead and let Reggae in. I have pressed the record button, so should I call you Reggae or anything else you want me to call you?
You can call me RJ. How about that?
RJ, you know that old comedian that you can call me Jay or you can call me JJ or have you
Yeah.
ever?
Let me see if I was going to Bluetooth it. I had the Bluetooth on with headphones. I didn't know that may not work, but does it sound okay here? We can just roll like this.
Yeah, that sounds just fine. And yeah, if you don't have anything to show, that's fine. You don't have to show. Oh, there you go. Now that's funny that you show one of those little tombstone stackers. Let me find mine. Love the way these come in this little pouch.
I
Like
do.
you found a treasure. This one is a 5 ounce, which I got a good deal on using the eBay, using my new PayPal credit card. So I'm pretty happy that that all worked out. Yeah, what is the gold piece? Is that an eagle?
It is.
There you go. You're perfect. You're perfect. So why don't we get going? And oh, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself, what part of the country you're from, and how old you are.
Sure. I'm from the South. I'm in Texas, and I'm 57, and I'm a late starter.
Okay.
So
Yeah, yeah, I didn't expect that, but I was a late starter as well. Well, actually, I started early and I gave up many, many years ago. I started with gold, held it for 10 years and it didn't do anything. And of course, then I sold it. And after that, it quadrupled. So that's
uh,
the story of stacking. But I got into it about 10 years ago, seriously, and have been going strong ever since. And how long have you been stacking, RJ?
not very long. I would say about 4 or 5 months. Not
Okay.
even not even that. Probably 3 months, maybe September, October.
Okay. And what is it that got you to start stacking?
A couple of reasons. Honestly, it was, I guess, afraid of banks, which I've always been afraid. But and the internet doesn't help um, with all this scary stuff they broadcast every day. But I had savings, and my next 10-year plan includes retirement. And so I've always been interested in like old coins and have always wanted gold bars for some reason. I just, I've always wanted them. But I started buying gold, and I started buying gold bars at first, um, just to maybe preserve wealth, because I was afraid of what's going to happen with the dollar. And you hear about the bricks and all this stuff. And so it was a little bit to put my money somewhere else, like a different investment rather than, savings and things like that. And of course, afraid of the banks are going to fall at any moment. If your money's in a bank, I mean, it can get seized by the government or a law enforcement agency or what have you. And so it was kind of a couple of different reasons.
Yeah, all great reasons. Of course, we can't trust the dollar anymore. And speaking of banks, that the Dodd-Frank regulations, literally allow them to take your money if they choose to do so, and give you shares of stock in whatever bank you don't want. So I commend you for that. And we all have to start somewhere. Would this be just a portion of your investments? Do you keep other investments, or are you going all in for silver and gold?
As far as like precious metals.
Yeah, yeah. For precious metals, I mean, do you hold other investments as well, 401ks and stuff like that?
So I got out of all of that. I went into business for myself about 10 years ago. And so no 401k after that. And I was all in on my business ventures. And I've done okay with that. So I've just been able to save. And so basically now, I don't know how much I should say, but basically now it's pretty much in the bank, I'll say, with different, like maybe money markets. I use a couple of money markets, but no CDs anymore, no 401k. And I'm just getting interest off of money markets at this point.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, typically, I don't recommend putting all your money in precious metals because, timing may not work out. 10 years ago, we had all the same concerns. Well, not quite as many, but there was a lot of bad things happening with quantitative easing. And I have been surprised how long they've been able to hold the system together. It's amazing how tricky they can be.
Yeah.
But so let's say that, yeah, you're planning for retirement. I think you said you're looking to buy some property, or maybe that was someone else.
No, we do have some rental properties. We have several rental properties, but that doesn't bring in a lot. I make more off interest from savings than I do per month than I do off rental properties. But I'm debt free, and so I don't owe anybody anything, thank goodness. So I'm in a good position, I think. And you never can tell what you read on the internet or what you see on the internet. And I really didn't know how much I should, keep in precious metals. So, from what I've read, some people, say 10%. Um, if you save $100, you should have $10 in precious metals or whatever. So a lot of questions that I still have about, the stuff.
Yeah, all I would say is I do recommend the 10 to 15%, maybe 20. Like, if you have 100,000 in the bank, I'd love to see 10 to 20,000 of that in silver and gold. The only mistake I see people making is putting everything into precious metals, and you kind of set yourself up because you never know when we're going to go through another long period. And it's not so much that I doubt silver and gold, but the opportunity cost of being in the market can really hit you over the long run. And I wouldn't buy into the market right now. I'm waiting for a dip. But after we get the correction or the recession, I'll be getting out of T-bills and back into the S&P. So I'm not a gloom and doom stacker. I'm not so much a prepper. But I do believe in diversification, and I have several different kinds of assets, tangible assets that I love having. It just, whatever happens in the world, you will always have the value of your silver and gold, or your property in your case. So uh,
Yeah,
anyway,
and
I go.
I had no idea that they, stopped backing the dollar with gold. It was when I started studying it and kind of looking into it. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So I had no idea that basically we're just printing money at this point. Like, the dollar's about, I guess worth really what the paper it's printed on, in my opinion, if it's not backed by anything.
Yeah, the only thing giving the dollar value is how crummy all the other currencies around the world are. And that's where people get confused about, why is the dollar index over 100? It's not that the dollar is strong, it's that all the other countries are weak and getting weaker. But that dollar still won't buy you, I think somebody said, groceries and whatnot are about 19% more than they were a couple years ago. So
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't buy what it used to. Well,
Yeah.
why don't we get into your questions and just let it rip, whatever you need to know.
Okay. Um, well, golly, where do I start? So I did bring a couple of things with me today. Like, for example, when my first purchase, I went to a local coin shop. It's really not local where I live. It's the closest one is probably going to be about an hour and a half away. I have some jeweler friends, and so, I have a guy that makes some custom jewelry. And I started talking to him, and he recommended this place where I went to. So I went. And the first things that I bought some gold, and I went to buy gold, but wound up leaving with more silver as far as weight goes. Um, and I bought some tubes. This isn't one of the tubes that I bought, but this is I bought some tubes of silver. I bought silver bars. I bought gold bars. At this point, I hadn't bought any gold coins yet. And so one of the questions was, whenever I buy, especially offline, whenever I buy tubes of this, should I not cut this seal, or should I check what's in it?
Oh, well, if you're buying buffaloes or eagles or anything like that, it's okay to cut the seal and make sure it's
Okay.
all in there. You could run one down a verifier or put a neodymium magnet down it, make sure it's real. But I wouldn't stress out too much about that. Um, if it's a collector, hopefully you're not too much into the collector coins. But sometimes, like if you got a tube of Libertads, for example, you may want to leave those sealed because people just will pay a little more for that if it's a sealed tube. But
Okay.
generally, most places you buy, they're going to cut it open. They're going to look at it anyway. What matters on resale is if you're looking to get the most for your silver when you sell it, that it's a solid date tube. It's not a mix and match and, oddball stuff because they'll pay you less for that. But a solid tube of buffaloes, 20 in the tube, that'll get a little bit more usually.
Okay. That's good to know. And I did get some of the most recent Libertards. So I'm glad I didn't cut that open.
Yeah, so your strategy is then going to include some collector coins because I know you had to pay at least $7 over probably for the libs.
Not a lot. I did those. Honestly, I did it after watching one of your videos. Because again, being so new to this, I really I don't, I don't know a lot, and you need to be careful who you're telling that to when you're going to buy something. But I did. So I saw you do a video that included that, and I did pick up some. I picked up a couple of tubes of them, and but really, I'm not doing any collector coins. When I first started, I was buying gold bars, but after watching more and more videos, I decided to start going with coins. So now I'm really going after the gold coins rather than anything else. And that was one of the questions as well, bars or coins, bars or eagles.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you a question about if you ever had to sell, and maybe you don't plan to, but how would you sell?
Well, good question, because I'm not really sure. I've seen that some of the big guys online, they do buy, and I guess the local coin shops would buy too. So, who knows? I'm not sure. I don't really know the process yet of that.
Okay. So you're not looking at starting an eBay store or anything like that. Yeah. So I think online is a great place to check the buyback prices on those bars. If they don't buy what it is you're buying, then I would use some caution. And in my experience, an LCS will pay you less than an online, like a JM Bullion or an SD Bullion. So in regard to coins or bars, I think both are okay. I typically buy, well, I have in the past anyway, bought the 1 ounce gold in assay. It might be a Pamp bar, or Credit Suisse, etc. And I've done fine with those. I've bought them and I've sold them, and the spread between, pardon me, the cat just got up here. The spread between the buy and the sell price is very low. But I think most people would recommend gold eagles or gold maples. Um, I would stay with the eagles or the maples if you're going to do gold coins, and I think fractional is fine because the buyback premium is higher on the fractionals. So if you're on a small budget, which some people are, you can buy the fractional eagles as well. And again, on the gold bars, you can get those really cheap, from a reputable seller. You got to know you're not getting a fake, and nothing wrong with gold bars in assay. So yeah, a little of both. In some states, they have different rules about sovereign coins versus bars. So, but I think you're pretty free in Texas, so you should be okay to buy either.
Okay. And that was another question too, that I had. Looking at the coins, I have bought a couple of maples. I've bought how do you say it, a Krugerin, and maybe a buffalo,
Uh-huh.
all in gold. But I was going to ask you, what's the difference? And I guess the preferred is going to be the gold eagles. But what about the maples, and what about the Krugerins and the buffaloes?
The top tier for every stacker is going to be, a gold eagle or a gold buffalo. They're two very different coins. The buffalo is three nines, and the eagle is not pure silver, but it weighs over an ounce, so you get an ounce of silver out of it. Buffaloes tend to carry a little higher premium, so most people go with the eagles. A maple will sell for less and will bring less on the resale. A Krugerrand should sell for less than a maple. So, if I were going to buy, I would line up the prices of the buffalo, the eagle, the maple, the Krugerrand, and then if there's anything else, maybe the gold bar and assay, and just look at the different prices and see where the better deal is. But your gold eagle is always going to be the easiest to liquidate. The dealers will always be buying. And sometimes their premiums can increase, giving you a better exit as well. But there's nothing wrong with a maple. Maple is a strong number two. Beyond that, you're into third world gold, and you're going to take a bit of a haircut when you sell that.
Mm. And the gold buffaloes, they're the
Yeah, but buffaloes are even nicer, in my opinion, than eagles. Um, I don't tend to keep them for long because sometimes I trade them out. They're very desirable. So if you're looking for something really, really nice, I think a buffalo is a great choice. So you could use those interchangeably. Buffaloes and eagles are pretty interchangeable and have substantial premium.
and definitely the coins are going to be easier to liquidate than and at a higher price than the bars, right?
Definitely at the LCS, if that's the way you're doing it. Online, they buy most anything. So spend some time on JM Bullion or SD Bullion looking at their buyback prices. There's a term I called the real spread, which is how cheap can you buy it anywhere, any place, that's your buy price. And what is JM Bullion, for example, paying for it? And you'll know the spread, between the buy and the sell. And that'll give you a good idea of what your lost cost is, kind of the cost of entry. And sometimes that spread could be really high. I'll take a real extreme example, but people buying 40% junk silver, for example, and a dealer may be selling that at spot. And then you go into a JM Bullion and you find out they're paying 60% of spot for 40% silver, right? So that's the kind of thing you wouldn't know unless you look at the buy prices to really educate yourself.
Hmm. Well, and so I have been buying the junk silver as well. And I was going to ask you. I hear you on your videos sometimes. You really like the Mercs. I've bought quite a few. Why do you personally like them? Is it just you just like them, or?
I am less of a collector than I used to be, and I think most stackers do a little collecting in the beginning. Like you said, you bought those Libertads. That's a little bit of a collector coin. But as I get older and I look at, the value that's tied in my stack, I want less collectibles because, you could die and your family would have to liquidate and they won't get those premiums back out. So Mercs are kind of the same thing. It's a upscale junk. And if you can get them for 50 cents more than a Rosie, for example, a dime, um, you might go for that. And then over time, they could develop some numismatic value. I guess all coins could technically develop numismatic value, but the Mercs have a really good shot at increasing premiums. And you can get them today. To give you an example, they escalate in premium when FOMO sets in, and FOMO is not a good thing. That's when prices are going up and people are going nutty and saying all kinds of crazy stuff. But in the heat of FOMO, I don't know if it was Silver Squeeze or the one after that, but the Mercs were bringing, 25, 27 times face. Whereas Mercury Dimes might have been bringing 23. So they have some premium built in, some numismatics built in. Don't get the slicks, like that's not something you want. And if you're going to put those away for your kids for 50 years, bag of Mercs is going to be worth more than a bag of Rosies.
Hmm. And did I ask you already about gold versus silver? If you were a stacker and or a new stacker or whatever, and what would you recommend?
It's a great question. I believe in both. And I believe that silver is the road to gold. I think in the end, the one with the most gold wins, and it is so stable. It goes up predictably. When it falls, it doesn't fall as much. And over time, I think gold is the thing you want to have. It's also easy to store, but silver can be a vehicle to get more gold if you watch the gold to silver ratio. And right now it takes 88 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold at spot, using a spot conversion. So what I've done over time is I've had both silver and gold. And when the ratio changes and when it drops to, maybe 65 to 1, you can trade out that silver for gold and, get gold with it. Or if right now the ratio is 88 to 1, people with gold may be thinking about trading out that gold for silver. It's a hell of a high ratio. And I don't believe it's sustainable up here in the high 80s. The market is cyclical, and just when you think you figured it out, it starts to change. So if you have both silver and gold, you can trade back and forth. And then if silver takes a dive for whatever reason, the next pandemic or whatever that might be, your gold will not take that big a hit. But when silver is cheap, I want to buy more silver. When gold is cheap, I want to buy more gold. And if I'm just starting out, I want to buy both. I would say 50-50 in terms of price, your dollars invested is a great place to be between silver and gold. If you got 10,000 in silver and another 10,000 in gold, you have a lot of flexibility to play the ratio if you want to, or to liquidate if one is down and the other one is up. So the answer is both. And gold is kind of pricey here, but I feel like the move is very close. It just has to break that 2100, 2200 level, and we could see it jump. And then that will likely drag silver with it. So I'm not saying gold is too expensive here, but it is from the GSR perspective, it is kind of pricey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm still buying gold, and I think I'm focusing more on gold. Um, but you again with these scary YouTube videos and everything, you got to be careful what you watch. I've learned, but and once you start watching things like this, the algorithm starts throwing everything up, and so now I'm seeing, gold is going to hit 5,000 this year, 8,000 this year. I don't even watch this stuff anymore, and I don't really know if would you think is that even possible?
No, I don't think so. I
You
don't think
don't?
so. I don't think we're headed for a worldwide collapse. I don't think we're headed for a new gold standard. The status quo, the powers that be who really want to spend and give money away, they want to keep the system. And the BRICS deal is not going to stop it. And inflation is not going to stop it, at least right now. If we ever get to hyperinflation, then I think all the wheels fall off and anything could happen. But they are so clever at manipulating the system, and the Fed and the Treasury and the White House, um, and Wall Street and BlackRock and the bullion dealers. There's one company that owns most of the bullion dealers at this point. I think they're all in collusion. And they want to keep this game going. They don't want to see the top blow off. And if it ever did, everybody would sell. Okay. If silver went to $50, well, first off, if it goes to $30, a lot of people are going to sell. But if it got past $30 and hit 50, then even more people are going to sell. And that's why you see these, you know, whenever you have that blow off kind of move, expect a retracement. And that's not good for anybody unless you're really rapid at selling and you really want to sell. And same thing with gold. When the price gets really pricey, people start selling their gold. They have bills to pay and whatnot. So I hope for and expect a gradual appreciation over time. I'm not stacking for next year. I'm stacking for, the next 5 years or 10 years. And eventually, I also want to be more in gold than in silver. And then if we ever get the big payoff, I'd want to convert that to property, which I think is the ultimate safe bet.
It's safer than even precious metals, huh?
Well, I think they're pretty equivalent depending on the taxing authority. A lot of people are getting increases in their property tax that they can't afford, and as I said on my video yesterday, for retirement, man, you can't see the stuff that's coming at you, but higher utility costs and new taxes, and so property has some baggage. But
Yeah.
over time, that's where all the billionaires, made all their billions. They made it in property, not in gold, not in silver. Um, but for us little guys, I think gold and silver is a great stepping stone. And I think it will always have value. I think it'll always appreciate over time with peaks and valleys. And if you do the opposite of so for example, when there's FOMO and everybody's saying, look out, $50 silver and $5,000 gold, and everybody's excited and the premiums are rising, you got to sit back and just stack cash and watch the fools spend their money, right? As you know, a lot of people, let me get rid of this little note here. We have 10 minutes left. Um, oh, hold on. Doggone it. Are you still there?
I am.
I lost my screen. Now Zoom is trying to sell me something. Anyway, if you can still see me,
I
uh,
can.
there were people recommending junk silver at 25 times face. There were people recommending buy everything you can. $40 Eagles, billionaires buying $40 Eagles. Okay, that is the pinnacle of stupidity to jump on to a move like that. When that happens, stack your cash and get ready for the next bust because there's always a bust. And you can dollar cost average, but when the prices really skyrocket and the premiums really skyrocket, it's time to sit on your hands and save cash in those, money markets or T-bills. and wait for the next crash because there always is. And right now, we're at an excellent time. Premiums have never been lower. Well, no, that's not true. Premium, they haven't been this low in years. And you can pick up Eagles for, $4 premium, and you can get, the gold Eagles. They're a little pricier right now. But it's not a bad time to buy. We could see some retracement back here. That's always possible. Then again, if war breaks out in earnest, then we could see $2,500 gold and $30 silver tomorrow. But my point is, buy when it's smart. Don't follow the FOMO. Turn off the YouTube channels that are trying to get you jacked up. Um, and to watch the price. That's all that matters. I mean, watch the news and watch the price and watch the premiums. And I try to help with that on my new website. And just let the price dictate when you buy what you buy, and when you sell if you're ever going to do that.
Yeah. Two more quick questions if we have time. One of the questions, how should I store my silver and my gold? And I've seen some different things. I'm not sure exactly what to buy. Are the airtights the best? The company that's called Airtight, are they all the same? Do I have to get those little spacers or whatever so my coin doesn't, jump around inside of it?
So for airtights, I don't think you have to buy the expensive airtights. I think you can go on to eBay and pick up direct fit airtights. I have a link on my website to get you to a seller that sells virtually all different sizes of airtights, and you get them really cheap. I mean, if you buy a box of 50, you'll get them for 30 cents a piece or something. So I would do the direct fit for the gold and the silver. And I wouldn't do the little rings. They look cool, but most people give up on that after a while. It takes up
Should I
more.
wrap these? Should I wrap them once they're in the little plastic containers?
Yeah, if you want to keep them from scratching, keep the airtight from scratching, you could put it in a Ziploc bag or something like that. Or they have tubes for airtights, and you could do like a Yankee cannon or something like that if you're just stacking the same thing. Gold really does not tarnish, and eagles don't even scratch that much. Buffaloes will scratch. So 3 and 4 nines gold can scratch if you handle it. I think a panda will scratch. So you just keep the gold in the tube. Silver can tarnish, and depending on what you buy, silver can spot. So I like to keep silver in the tubes. And personally, if you're stacking a lot, right? I mean, if this is really going to be big for you, I'd buy a vacuum sealer. I'd keep them in the tubes. I'd put the tubes in the vacuum sealer, seal it, mark it with a Sharpie. That's been, and some people put a desiccant tab, inside the bag, or if you're putting it in a box, inside the box. So that's what I like to do. But those shrink wrappers can cost $200. So um, just be careful where you put it. I have, some in cigar boxes, and I have some in little fireproof safes. I like my gold in a fireproof safe, which is not kept on premises. Silver, you can be a little more lax about, but if you have a lot of it and you want to really keep it super nice and shiny, the vacuum sealer works really well for that.
What about other metals? And what about copper, as in old pennies? You think they'll ever be worth anything?
Oh yeah, they've gone up a lot. But there's a recession looming, and industrial metals are taking a hit as a result. And if you ever have a chance, pull up a chart of gold and pull up a chart of copper and nickel for that matter. I buy $100 boxes of nickels from the bank for $100. They have to sell them to you if you ask for them. I think nickel will appreciate someday. and copper as well. Um, if you're just buying the wheat backs. But commodities really look terrible right now, and that's partly the headwind on silver. Silver is also a commodity, and because people know a recession is coming, despite what you hear on CNBC. So yeah, stack all the copper pennies you want. Don't pay $3, an ounce for a bar on AppMix that's only worth 75 cents. Don't do that unless you're a collector. But wheatback pennies, and I love the nickels. I think these $100 boxes of nickels are really going to be worth something at some point. But they're really heavy and really bulky, so you may not want to do that.
Are these old nickels or just all nickels?
New nickels have the same nickel content as old nickels, and
Okay.
nickel is a valuable and necessary metal, just like copper and just like silver. So, but you again, if you stack 50 boxes, $100 boxes of nickels, you're going to need a corner somewhere.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I know we're about out of time, but I want to thank you for answering some questions for me. You've helped me a lot.
Oh, thank you so much. And I do appreciate you letting me share this with the audience. Everybody has these questions. And part, I applaud you for asking, because a lot of people, even myself included, watch a couple videos and bam, you're out spending all the money. And it's really smart to ask the questions from people that you think are independent anyway.
Right. And I appreciate you. A lot of these you can tell that they are sponsored by, certain companies or whatever. So I do appreciate what you're doing, and I do watch your videos daily. So thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. And I hope you get some good deals out there, and let us know, what you buy and how you're doing. I'm sure people would love to keep up with your progress.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you, RJ. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.